Welcome to the Trump Pardon Arnold YouTube channel. We're trying to get President Trump's attention. If you'd please like and subscribe this video. We're trying to get the algorithm to recognize that everybody's at least looking at this video so I can get his attention. Today I'm going to cover real quick, why in the world would you plead guilty to something that you know for a fact you didn't do? Well, ladies and gentlemen, when you get prosecuted by the federal Leviathan Obama Department of Justice, you are guilty until proven innocent. Even my own lawyer, who I kept saying this was a political hit, this is a political hit. And she was like, oh, no, it's not. It's a legitimate thing. They're prosecuting you like they prosecute everybody else. And I was like, yeah, I get that, but we're being attacked for political reasons because of politics. Not that we actually broke the law. And I never could get her to tell me, hey, you did this. Because we didn't break the law. I know we didn't break the law. I know what the law is. My wife's an attorney. My father-in-law is a police officer. I know what the laws are, and I'm not a stupid person. I know how to read. I mean, these things that we're being accused of are even physically impossible. But because of the guy who made up the story was a long-time investigator, and he just knew the right things to say to all of a sudden bring to the attention, hey, I'm Jack Smith, and I get to prosecute a local sheriff and make a name for myself. And then he gets to go after President Trump, and he's just practicing the tradecraft. So here's what happens. You're Joe Schmo out there doing your job, whatever, and somebody decides you need to be prosecuted. And you think, oh, well, if I just had some witnesses that would back me up. Yeah, anybody that was your friend at that point in time. Well, the FBI comes rolling up at their place of business and says, hey, we got some questions for you about Joe Schmo over here. And all of a sudden, anything that witness knew, they'd probably start off going, well, yeah, I'd like to help my friend because I don't think he did anything wrong, blah, 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 blah. And they'd start telling what they knew. And then the FBI starts going, well, if you knew this information and you knew it was illegal, why didn't you report it? Because that makes you criminally liable too. And all of a sudden, all your witnesses start clamming up. And nobody wants to be a witness because they're all afraid and scared to death that they're going to be prosecuted too. They even tried to go after my wife, who knew about the business and knew the business was legal, but they kept wanting to throw her in jail too so they could make our kids have to be homeless kids and be thrown in the state institutions. They've been great for a completely innocent man to have his whole family torn apart. Luckily, that didn't happen. We rolled over and played dead. I knew it was rigged from the get-go. From day one we got indicted, I knew for a fact that there was no way that we actually committed a crime. And the funny part was, the reason I knew that a lie was used to start the investigation was we never got to see what was originally accused. The affidavit was sealed. It was this secret sealed affidavit that was used to start an investigation against us. And the reason I knew what was inside that secret sealed affidavit was confidential informant number one, Virgil Gammon, let the cat out of the bag when he sued the county and said that I, Joe Russell, had gone into the Rutherford County Jail and sold electronic cigarettes to the inmates for cash, and then I put the cash in my backpack and smuggled it out the door. I secreted funds out of the building. Now, I don't know what moron thinks that an inmate has got cash, let alone has any money at all whatsoever. Literally the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. But that's all Jack Smith needed. He's like, yeah, we'll take that lie and run with it because it gives us the opportunity. If you're sitting there willing to say it, then we'll indict everybody. Sure, we'll go for that. And then when I got the transcripts that came from the grand jury, Virgil Gammon walked right up to that line, but he didn't cross it. But in that affidavit that was used to start the investigation, that was in there. So here we are, 14 years later, 10 years later, and my life has been turned upside down. Sheriff Arnold's life's been messed over completely, causing him to have a divorce. His poor kids went through hell. And he spent a lot of money. And the funny part is, even your own defense counsel works against you. My attorney never told me that she was, and you got to remember, Sheriff Robert Arnold was a Republican. or he ran on the Republican ticket, conservative values. Well, my attorney, who kept telling me, no, this isn't a political case at all, she was Mayor David Briley's wife of Nashville. Huge time, big time Democrat. Never told me one time that that's who her husband was, or that she was highly involved in the Democratic Party. She was the wife of the mayor of Nashville. I mean, that's big time politics. And here in Nashville, you know, the Democrat Party rules Nashville. So I did not get a fair shake. The fix was in, big time. To top it off, even if she wasn't, defense counsels were told by the Department of Justice, especially the Obama Department of Justice, and I have seen the form signed by both parties, not in my case, but in another case, but it's a standard form that tells the defense attorney, oh, by the way, the proceeds that your client is paying you with could be proceeds from a criminal prosecution. So if your client pleads guilty and we don't have to go to trial and you save the taxpayers some money, we'll let you keep those funds. But if you take the time to go to trial and make a bunch of money off your client and he's found guilty, we're probably going to make those proceeds from a criminal act. And we're going to confiscate that money. So do you think you're going to get a fair and effective defense from your defense counsel if he's going to go out there and bill you for, you know, some of these guys have been billed for $500,000 or more? Not me. I didn't play that game. I knew it was rigged. That's why I made them give me a free attorney. And they didn't like that I did that, and I was technically, probably, I don't know how it goes, legally, I was due defense counsel, and they still made me pay $1,000 a month for it. So I ended up paying $12,000 for a prosecution that I knew was rigged. And I didn't need to pay a dime. I knew what was going to happen at the end of the day. This was all a big waste of my time. And Jack Smith, if you ever see these videos, son, you should be ashamed of yourself. But I know you don't care. That's what you do for a living. You point a finger at everybody. And you lie, lie, lie. If I was able to do, I could do your job in a heartbeat. I could put a monkey out there running around screaming at the top of its lungs, pointing fingers at people and throwing people in jail. That's what you do. And all the judges, they all back you up because you're the district attorney. And we have to believe you first over anybody else. And that's an unfair system, and that needs to be changed. That's another reason why Sheriff Robert Arnold is now running for U.S. Congress. Hopefully he's still going at this time. I don't know how that's going to turn out. I don't even remember which district it's for, but it's coming up next year in 2026. Anyway, so we need your help. If you know anybody that's in the Trump White House, if you know Alice Johnson, who's in the Trump White House, if you've gone through the process and gotten a pardon at this point and you've got some connections and you can just flat out help us, I need your help. You know, the Chrisleys got a pardon. I know Steve McBee's working on a pardon. General Flynn got a pardon. There's Roger Stone. There's a truckload of people out there that got pardons. And I just feel like we're just not making enough noise to get on Trump's radar. I need your help. Thank you for your time and attention in this matter.